Hi, my name is Dave Allen from Hoylake, Wirral, and I'm the person behind the progressive rock entity Spyrogy. Having released several albums since 2021, I decided to revisit a concept album idea I had when, a few years ago, my wife Gillian had a significant birthday. Jill has always been passionate about Richard III, the Plantagenet king from the late 1400s, and believed what many do, that Richard wasn't the villainous hunchback monster portrayed by the Tudors and more notably Shakespeare, but innocent of these charges and believing a more positive view of this much maligned king. So as a special present for Jill, I did some research and wrote a few songs and produced an album for her birthday depicting Richard III as a more positive person in a more positive light. Since then, I'd often thought of revisiting the work I did and re-recording a Richard III concept album, but more professionally. Then last year, I heard another concept album being played across prog radio stations called A Templar's Tale by A Multitude of One, and thought that this is just like the album I wanted it to sound like. So I reached out to the man behind A Multitude of One, Colin Powell, and asked if he'd be interested in a collaboration to produce a Richard III concept album. And much to my surprise and delight, Colin agreed, and RIffstone was born. We started working on the songs from scratch, and the resultant album is very much a product of both our individual styles and individual influences. So here is Richard III by RIffstone, and we very much hope that you enjoy the album. Thank you.
But before we do, I better introduce myself as the other half of RIffstone. I'm Colin Powell, A Multitude of One, also formerly guitarist with Nova Cascade. I'm from Salford, Greater Manchester in the UK, and I've been making music of one kind or another since the late 1960s. Over the years, I've been in local bands covering a wide range of genres, including classic rock, folk, synth pop, Beatles tribute band, and a rock covers band. Since the advent of the internet, I've collaborated with many musicians both here in the UK and internationally, as well as getting my own music out into the world. I also like to help other people share their music, and I now have a monthly radio show on One World Music Radio and Epic Prog Radio, also a Facebook page called Prog Alchemy. I really enjoy working on music with other people, so when Dave Allen of Spyrogy asked me if I fancied helping him record an old project about Richard III in a similar style to my album A Templar's Tale, I was very pleased to accept. The way we've worked on this is that Dave has re-recorded each individual track and sent me the stems, lots of stems, which I've then imported into my DAW Logic Pro, which is the software I use to record the music. Then I've added my own tracks, mainly keyboards with some bass and guitar, a little bit of drums. I've also mixed the tracks and sent the tracks back to Dave for him to listen to and make little changes at his suggestion. Dave's wife, Jill, has written some wonderful voiceovers which we're using as introductions to each track, so I've recorded my voice for those and also added some vocals and backing vocals to most of the tracks. We're both really excited about this project and our first album, Richard III, which we can't wait to share with you a little bit later this year. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, RIffstone, at RIffstone Music, and if you want to get in touch with us, our email is riffstonemusic@gmail.com. Now then, let's have a listen to a little taster of what's to come with Richard III, and if you like it, please strike that like and subscribe to the channel, because we'll be posting more updates here.
Richard III, defamed and despoiled, Shakespeare's story often retold. King of all England by sight and by might. A throne usurped, a king destroyed, Lancaster came to fill the void. Might prevailed, a throne of... behalf the King who wears the crown. Mighty for rise up with all of those who sin. Defense from England's enemies, without and within. Stand and fight for church.